point, just for convenience sake, we want this out of our way, so we're going to go ahead and just loosely install the gas shock. There are little retainer clips on this. Can you see it? Okay. Put it in the light. It is simply a little loop clip. You peel it off and pull it out of that hole. Once again, set it somewhere you're not going to lose it, and do the other side. We'll put them in when the installation is all finished. Now, as you open and close this frame, you need to remember that without the gas shock on there, and to some degree the glass helping keep it rigid, it can slide off the back. And in doing so, you could end up getting a scratch on your paint. So you always kind of want to keep that in mind, keep a little pressure towards the front when you're doing this work. When the gas shock is on there, it actually pushes into those hinges so that it'll hold it up. So that's just on there to keep this out of the way. The gas shock is really very heavy for just the raw metal frame, so I don't recommend opening and closing it a whole bunch of times until the glass is on there, because that kind of makes a big sandwich out of it. At this point in time, go ahead and latch both those latches down by pushing on the catch. And we're going to take the actuator on the outside, and you can see I'm tightening the cables. I'm going to turn it really, really slowly and listen to which side opens first. You see how that one clicked before this one did? That means that this one has more free play on its cable, and you can actually tell by looking at it. See how this cable is relatively straight? It's loose in a neutral position. Let me latch them again. And this one has kind of that extra give right there. So what we're going to do is, just like a bicycle cable, we're going to go ahead and loosen the ferrule there and slide the cable housing down a little bit. And so what that'll do is actually make them engage a little sooner. Wow, that usually takes a couple of tries. So now I'm turning the actuator really, really, really super slowly and just listening. So that one did go a little bit sooner than the other one. I mean, that was moving just a tiny little bit. So it means it's a little too tight. Loosen it up just a touch. Where it was well within reasonable for how little movement on the actuator was changed, but that's really close. So if you want to be super picky about it, you can get here and get it so it just makes one noise as it comes up, but that is plenty close enough. So now that those are adjusted, we'll just go ahead, pop that gas shock back off. Alrighty. So we have just the bare frame, and we've gotten everything set and adjusted with no glass in there, because it's really, really nice to be able to reach through the window and make your adjustments. Now that it's all set and working nicely, there's no gas shock in place, we're going to go ahead and just take the frame off. So once again, no gas shock. And we're going to scoot this over. I kind of just rotate it a little bit and go gently, because what I don't want to happen is to get to that point and go really aggressively and give yourself a big old scratch in the paint right there. So now we just have the bare frame, and I have taken the factory gasket off the glass for that side. This one actually had a little bit of a butyl sealant underneath the exterior lip right there. For our installation, there's no real reason to take it off there. It's not going to hurt anything. So all we're going to end up doing is set that aside and bring the frame up here. And this glass goes underneath those catch lips. Oh, actually, that might be a reason to take the... Oh, no, it still fits. I was going to say maybe the butyl wasn't going to work. And it's basically just going to slide into there. And you get it situated so that it matches up to the frame. You don't want one end overhanging the other, because A, it would make it more fragile, and B, you've just set up this frame so that it's nice and centered in the opening. Now, at that point, what I'm actually going to be recommending doing is taking just a little bit of RTV and going along and not putting it between the glass and the frame, but just on the exterior, just run a little bead where that is, and then just kind of scoot it down with your finger. I'll do a demonstration of that on my truck. In this case, this glass is not tinted yet, and Jason wants to go ahead and get it tinted fairly soon, so I'm not going to put the adhesive on there because it's easy enough to take off with a razor blade by just slicing around it, except for right underneath here. This is the only place where there's the edge is completely covered by this hinge mechanism here, so it will make it a little bit difficult to take it out. You can do it. What you do is you just heat it with a heat gun a little bit. It warms up the RTV, makes it flexible. You've cut everywhere else. You can kind of lift this up and peel it out like that. So it does come undone, but since this glass is going to be coming right back out to get tinted, which is something that you want to take into account if you're going to be planning on doing this installation and want to do tint later on, is it might be better to get that glass out of there and get it done. So let's pretend we just put RTV across that. We're going to take the short piece of lock stripping, make sure our glass is snugged right up in there, and go ahead and just put the lock strip on the edge. It's a very strong grab. It's a dual flanged waterproofing thing. The RTV is really just as a backup, just in case any water gets wicked up in through there. It could then wick in through where the glass and metal plate are sandwiched together and make maybe some like cloudy bits of moisture. It hasn't happened on mine yet because I keep taking the glass in and out of ours, but it's a possibility. It's not actually needed to seal it because this edge welting seals everywhere except for right where these hinges are. So that's the only area where you really want to put a little bit of RTV across is right there. So we've got that top lip set. We'll take our gasket that was on the window when it arrived and just go ahead, start it, and work around the window. It's slightly oversized. You can see even with it not on there all the way, it's going to be really tight against the little lock plate there. So you actually want to get that started first and then work backwards down it, because this stuff being vinyl has a lot of stretch and compression. So as I work back around this, it'll actually compress this probably about back to the middle again. And that makes sure that it's just a really nice tight fit. With that butyl that was on his window, it's going to help with the seal, so there was really no reason to take it off, but I'm seeing it actually kind of is pushing out this lock strip a little bit more than you would have if it was just a normal window, so I know something to take into account. So just go along here. It's a very, very strong seal. It takes a lot of force to seat it down into place. Gonna need some strength. Alright. Feels really good.